Thinking in the third person.
I smell toast. Am I having a stroke? Wait, I have toast in my pocket. Whew.
So we have what a woman thinks a man wants. I mean, what a man wants, I guess. This is a dumb name for a movie. It obviously has Taraji P. Henson in it. Very great actress. However, this movie is so much agenda pushing that it's gonna drive a steak knife down all the men's throats and make us swallow the agenda book that women can work in a man's world and do whatever a man can and should not be talked about it. I agree. However, I hate when they put it in movies. Now she drinks this tea and suddenly she knows what men want or men are thinking about what they want from a woman, and that's not always true. I'm sure it'll be like a preaching message at the end where she actually falls in love with some guy. And this movie is so it like I feel like for movies like this, titles for movies and the movie theme itself has been done so many times by directors such as Tyler Perry, almost like nothing superstitious where she drinks tea, bumps her head, and can read men's thoughts, but you almost know what they're reaching for in something like this. And you can tell it's just going to be one of those films. So the only way this film would surprise me is by the overwhelming cast of African Americans, is if she actually decided to marry and date a white guy in this movie. But hey, it comes out 2019, so we'll see what happens.
Come on. If you're expecting any kind of hope in this movie, it wouldn't be coming in January. But, as far as concepts go, I consider this a cute spin for a sort of remake on the film What Women Want, which hasn't really aged considering the man who gets the ability to read minds is a smooth lady killer like Mel Gibson, who has never mistreated women in his life, nor is he an alcoholic. Speaking of alcoholic, after getting her drunk spiked by a witch, the rest of the trailer gets us into the wonderful hijinks of what men's thoughts are like, which is pretty much where all the cheap and uninspired humor is coming from. Look, don't get me wrong, I love Taraji P. Henson, but when I mean put her in more movies, I mean put her in good ones. Not to mention, out of the mostly black cast, could you at least throw us Chris Rock, Chris Tucker, LeBron James, the entire cast from Black Panther, for God's sakes? I'm honestly surprised they didn't put Tiffany Haddish in this, because there can never be too much Haddish. Anyways, the feminist implications are strong, but I guess if it doesn't seem as predictable as it looks, I'm sure it'll be a decent movie to rent. Come on. This is coming from the guy who loved the remake to frickin' Overboard.
So we have Green Book. This movie is pretty decent. The title sounds like it should be about potheads trafficking marijuana, but instead it's about Mahershala Ali being an African American pianist who travels to the South to do a tour. It looks pretty interesting. He hires a Caucasian bodyguard to protect him while he's in the South, because he can't protect himself. Oh, that's crazy. I thought we were the black beast who weren't afraid of anything, but I guess not. Instead, this guy is obviously high class, Sadiddy, and he's more of a rich, preppy African American person, so he needs a bodyguard who's obviously white. That's the irony in this picture, to protect him while he's in the South. That makes kind of no sense at all. It's almost like if Carlton Banks traveled to the south side of Chicago with another white person to protect him, and they both got robbed. But this movie is more about Mahershala Ali trying to figure out who he is as a person, and it looks pretty decent. So go check it out. It comes out on Turkey Day, I believe. So Thanksgiving Day, African American film. Let's get it out there.
I can already tell this is going to be the feel-good movie of this year so far for me, and I already feel like crying when I see, this movie. Just the trailer really knows how to hit those emotions. But yeah, Green Book is based on the true events of Jamaican pianist Don Shirley, who makes a tour down south with the help of his driver slash bodyguard, Tony Lip. The term Green Book is based on a guide that was used by African Americans, as sort of a travel guide, which is what Green Book refers to as the driver bodyguard Tony Lip in this case. Just based on the performances and camaraderie between Marshall Ali and Viggo Mortensen, I'm catching a lot of vibes from movies like The Untouchables and basically Reverse Flying Miss Daisy. But just the third time watching it, and it's really hard not to smile. Even if it feels like we know where, the whole journey ends, this film wants to make, both the characters understand themselves as people, while also dancing with the politics of race that I hope they explore a lot more than what seems like the last half of the film.
With Danny McBride, he obviously kidnaps a real estate agent. I don't really understand the gist of this film, to be honest with you. I can't even really make jokes about it because I really don't understand what it's about. The film honestly doesn't know which route it wants to take. It's a mixture of dark humor and probably a real serious theme. Excuse me about that. But it really doesn't know what route it wants to take. We'll see what happens when it comes out, I guess. But yeah, this film looks like a giant mess, to be honest with you. But Danny McBride is really funny, so he usually takes something like that and just turns it into pure gold sometimes. He's a great comedian. Love to hear his improv work sometimes as well. So we'll see what happens when this movie comes out.
Nothing short of fully realized. I am gonna love this fucking movie. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, Jay, you only like interesting ideas and meta-lead films. That's why you don't like the trailer for What Men Want. No, I just like movies with good characters and interesting plots and stories, and don't feel like I've seen it before. And after watching This Is the End in 30 minutes or less, I always thought Danny McBride would play a great criminal psychopath because, he'd play it straight, but acts like a complete fucking idiot. The director, Jonathan Watson, has really cut his teeth in productions like Vice Principal, Disaster Artist, and The Interview. He's just, mostly as a first assistant director, So he was really close in film, and I think this is going to really show off his creativity. And it kind of explains why Danny McBride's in this in the first place. But, the idea of a dark comedy during the housing market, 2009, already feels ripe for the picking, and I just can't wait to enjoy this with other cinema nerds and Rogan fanboys because I feel like this will appeal to a small minority. But I just hope more people see this in theaters than, Danny McBride's last solo outing, Your Highness. But, completely disregard what Ryan's saying about this movie because as I was watching the trailer, I realized that one of the reviews says that this is one of the good dark comedies out there this year. And I felt stupid listening to Ryan's part now that I think about it.